day. The whole reason that I'm going live on TikTok and on Substack here is because I have to. Uh, and if I want to actually get a maximum pull on my channel, this is basically how I have to do it. So hopefully you guys are all, having a great day. I certainly am. I'm always having a good day when I can talk to all of you, my kernels, and no, it'll be a great time. I actually just got out of my what is it? I just got out of my paid subscriber chat on Bing Bang on TikTok. And for all the people who are going to watch this replay on Substack, just so you guys know, I'm going to be responding to two chats. The Substack chat tends to be way calmer, and on TikTok, people tend to be super insane and try to get me to say lots of things. I've also made lots of inside jokes with all of my TikTok subscribers before, including calling myself Corn Papa and going Bing Bang and talking about my hog. And that's not really the thing I tend to do on Substack all the time. So if it comes off a little zanier than normal, this is why. We're gonna give ourselves up until about the maybe like 2 or 3 minute mark. I'm going to get into my my prepared remarks. I've actually prepared a whole essay for you. Drew says I'm here for the hog on TikTok, and that makes total sense because that's what anybody's here for, I guess. Visenya says, do you think there's a chance the UK might get rid of the monarchy? Not a fucking shot. No, the monarchy is like too the monarchy is too integral to Brits' own conception of having a culture at all that actually lasted past colonialism. There is no shot at all that they get rid of the monarchy. They might get rid of one of the monarchs. Like I think that they're going to throw Andrew in prison, to be honest. I think that like the pressure release valve theory is going to be way, way on display in the next 6 months. I think we're going to find some very rich and powerful people we would have never have imagined ever to actually face any consequences. We'll actually get some pretty big ones. And fuck them. They should. They should get big consequences because, for all of you, I'm sure here on TikTok and on Substack, if you're watching this there, I mean, like those photos of Andrew rolling around on the floor with a child who has a boob-shaped ball. I mean, like that should be enough. That should be enough so that he doesn't ever get to even look at anything that is even painted in fool's gold, let alone even be welcomed into social circles that have anything to do with the monarchy. Luke Zimmerman says, shave the stash and neck beard, bro. Dude, I actually tried to shave the neck beard and I fucked up. So that's all it is. Connor says, yeah, I think they'll imprison him, but the trial will drag on for years. No, I don't actually think so. The Brits actually seem to have a much better handle on like what it is that actually gets people to have pressure release than the United States. I think the Brits, especially because of their proximity to Europe, where the Euro countries are already doing a really good job of investigating. Well, really good job. They're making a show of doing a good job of investigating the Epstein files. I think that the Brits know that like the United States is a dying empire. There's no reason to play nice with someone like Trump, especially with the fucking legal defeats he was just handed. And instead, I think they're looking to Europe and they're like, maybe we need to get somebody to go down for this one. And I think it's going to be Prince Andrew. I do. I mean, I think Keir Starmer might also really fall under the sword of Damocles here too. Laura Vanderbuben says, hi, Papa Mays. Put all of them in the Tower of London. That's why I say, hell yeah, brother. Visenya says, what about Norway? Any chance of a republic there? Yeah, I could see that. Maybe. Chicken Little says, thank you for existing. Thank you, Chicken Little. Microfrost says, I don't know what this is about, bro. I just created a new TikTok called TikTok. That's funny. Let me see here. Receipt Capata says, what's your degree in, man? Love your content. I got a degree in supply chain management, actually. Redonkulous says, thoughts on Cuba? I love the Cuban people, and I think that what the United States continues to do to Cuba is try to exert an old world imperialist mindset onto people who just want to live their life. Lagapotamus says, are you married? Not yet. Joe Schmo says, sir, I'm sorry, it's just so distracting. Why not just shave the rest? I'm going to. Let me see. The Moon Control says maybe some glasses too. Maybe. Brown-eyed Cypriot gal says, hi. Hello. Schlippy says, isn't the crown an LLC anyway? Like they'll survive without a couple of royals. Yeah, exactly. Viking Drummer says, Norwegian here, no kings. Hell yeah, brother. Abu Ali Miaustafa says, is it going down with Iran? I do believe we will strike Iran. Yes, I 100% believe we're going to strike Iran. I don't think that we have the military buildup that we do in the Mediterranean and near the Strait of Hormuz just for fun. And if we do happen to not strike Iran with all the shit that we have put there, we are literally dumber than I thought. And that actually seems almost biblically foretold to not even be possible because in the United States, it's running like a clown show right now. Connor says, yeah, Starmer will be well on his way out by the May elections. I agree. Brown-eyed Cypriot gal says solidarity to Cuba. Yeah, solidarity forever. John From says, should we bank run? I mean, if we want to be really funny, yeah. Yeah, if you want to do it like as a little goof or something. Matchbox Mark says, hey, comrade. Hey, what's up, brother? Soze says, is DSA trustworthy? They're more trustworthy than the fucking Democrats, I'll tell you that. Missy D says, wait, you're not married? LMAO. No, not yet. Cypriot from Cyprus. Hell yeah, brother. Matchbox Mark says, Yemen airspace closed right now. Damn. Fuck, dude. Viking Drummer says, love your content, brother. Love you, buddy. Thank you. Couch in a room of Vance. Couch in a room of Vances. What a fucking username. Says, didn't another country say they would fight with us if we attack Iran? I mean, I imagine that like lots of people have said that. Eba says, are you pro North Korea? Am I pro am I pro the government of North Korea? No, not really. Let me see here. I think that's the heart sign says it's going too fast. What is? Brown-eyed Cypriot gal says we have British military bases in Cyprus that are used to hammer the Middle East. Yeah, bro, for sure. Let's see here. Sorry if this comes off as offensive, but what is the chin hair still there for? God damn, y'all love talking about my hair. This is crazy. It says, have you been paying attention to James Fishback? No, I have not. You should tell me about him. Ryan says, are you talking about the future of UK politics? Gave me the info summary. Yes, I was. Hot for Harris. Oh, wow. Okay. Says, what? Nice avoidance to the question I asked. I have no idea what you asked, dog. Just ask it again. 404 Tattoo says, so what are we going to do about the files? Well, I mean, it depends on what your idea is of justice, I guess. All right, here. Kay says, speaking of hair, please rip off the soul patch. Oh my god. That's crazy. Let me see here. Cypriot. Cypriot. Is how you pronounce that, I guess. Camel Toe Rodeo says, woohoo, caught you live. Hell yeah, brother. And JP it says, Fishback is basically Republicans' answer to Mamdani. Oh wow. I've never heard of this person, and that's embarrassing for me. Let me see here. LP777 on Substack says, why are they clowning you? I mean, I think just because I'm a clownable person, to be honest. Let me see here. Wait, what is this? Kumra Denny says, are you a communist yet? Am I a communist yet? I would still mark myself more than anything as like an anarcho-syndicalist, I guess, because I believe that like small organizations of people who trust each other innately can in fact form large organizations in tandem that approximate a syndicate. And I think that can actually wield a lot of power. Let me see here. Kay says, thank you though for all your hard work. Oh, thank you, buddy. Even though you ripped on my my soul patch. Distilled Jen says, how's your mental health, hun? Not great. JR Discover says, so used to seeing your videos. It took me a minute to realize this was a live, LMAO. Well, I'm glad to have you here. Limey says, what's your favorite color? Probably like mint green. Let me see. Comrade Denny says, fair play. Fair play. Miss M. Ali says, first time caller, long time listener. Love your thoughts and videos. Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you. Jasopo says, hell yeah, anarcho-syndicalist gang. Gang, I guess. That was so embarrassing. I'm sorry, everybody. I did that. Bad T-Man says, yo, man, I followed you the other day. I think you say some super insightful stuff. Oh, well, thank you so much, Bad T-Man. I really appreciate you. Brown-eyed Cypriot girl says, the question should be, are we anarchists yet? I hope so. Rawan says, I like that answer. I've never heard that as a political identity. Sounds cool. Hell yeah, brother. Miscreant says, what do you think of Mamdani putting the taxes for NYC solely at Hochul's feet? I think that's like incredibly politically savvy of him. That's what I think. I think that Mamdani doing that is exactly what Democrats should do with everything. They should always find a way to offload the negative consequences of governance onto their political roadblocks, at least, if not their enemies. And the fact that it had to take Mamdani, a person who's like barely held in office more than council member, to do this, I think is embarrassing for national Democrats. Let me see here. Memony B says, why aren't you on other platforms like YouTube? I am on other platforms like YouTube. I post YouTube videos. Some of my interviews are on YouTube, and also I have lots of shorts and everything. You should go check it out. Distilled Jen says, sending hugs. Hug from Cornpop. Bad T-Man says, the video about what you see happening over the next 5 years is what got me. Oh, interesting. Barbie says, whoa, I was skipped. Wait, I'm sorry, Barbie. Well, now you're not skipped. Hart says, gang. Sorry, everybody. Megan Ashby says, another longtime listener here. Thanks for helping me stay sane. I'm glad that you can say sane because I cannot. Giuseppe says, "How do you feel about religious left wingers? I think there should be more of them. I think there should be more of them, and they should be more active and more vocal. That's what I think." I want to be Tracer says, the election won't be if the election won't be rigged in November, then why is the Republican Party doing this? Doing what? Serpy says, "Hi King." Hi. LP777 says, "Baddie energy for real. If anything, that should be the bare minimum." Hell yeah, brother. Let me see. Camel Toe Radio says next 6 months predictions on the national global stage. We go to war with Iran. I actually could see there being a ceasefire reached in Ukraine, and I think that as a result of war in Iran, oil prices will continue to go up. I think that the RAM and technology component shortage is going to reach ahead, and I think it's going to actually best in the stock market because I could actually see to it that see to it, sorry. I could see it that some of the customers of companies like NVIDIA and Intel and AMD to a smaller extent actually might be like, oh, we literally don't even want to try and like fill the orders. And that could have a negative effect on the stock price. Because remember, it only takes like a single one of these companies to have like a really bad quarter to set the whole thing off. And I could see that causing some pretty awful economic turmoil. Um, uh, Moon says, "First live of yours that I'm tuned in for. Oh my God. Well, oh my God." The Fit Faget says, "Hey, Hog Talk, what's up?" Hog Talk. Let's see here. Bad T Man says, "I'm curious what you think of Fishback. You should look into him." I certainly will. Thank you for telling me about him. Soapy Chick says, "Any readings you recommend on anarcho-syndicalism, like a good jumping off point?" Man, are any good specific readings? Like on the actual, do you want it like on the organizing itself or like on the philosophy behind it? Because it's a different answer for both. Kenny says, "What are we even doing anymore, Corn Pop?" I mean, we're just vibing. We're just doing the point of life at this point, which is enjoying the passage of time. That's what I think the point of life is at this point. Um, Ox says, "Neck hair needs a champion. You are that champion, bro." Okay, Substack audience, please start talking to me more because all these people on TikTok want to do is just roast me for my neck hair. Okay, this is not how you get in the good graces of Corn Papa. Everybody, Jasopo says, "Hell yeah, hell yeah." Zane says, "Taiwan this year or next." It's going to be next if it's at all. I don't really believe that Z wants to do it though. To be honest, I think Z needs to say I think Z needs to say that he wants to do it, but I don't think that Z has an interest in that because I think that for trying not to get bogged down in the quagmire of actually trying to seize Taiwan, knowing what it's going to do to all their relationships in the South China Sea, and then also for all the relationships that they are building in rapid capacity with Europe. I don't think it's worth it for them. I really don't. Let's see here. Samuel Sarton says, "Did you see that GRPD murdered DeQuain?" Yeah, I did. I did. I did see that Grand Rapids did murder DeQuain Trey Johnson, which is why we need to. Same with Linda Davis, being murdered by ICE. We need to continue to talk about the black and the brown people, the civilians, and the detainees, which is a fucking despicable way of talking about people. But we need to talk about everybody who's murdered by ICE, and especially those people who otherwise, if they were just murdered by police officers, as DeQuain Trey Johnson was, they would just be considered a statistic instead of people. It is one of the ways that the United States media environment, normalizes the murder of people who are deemed politically lesser, and it's disgusting. And the GRPD should be held accountable in the form of those officers being fired, losing their pensions. Taxpayers should not pay for these people to go and continue to wreak havoc onto people's families for the simple crime of being black in America. It's fucking disgusting. Let me see. Bad T-Man says, "War with Iran. Can you expand on that?" I mean, can I expand on that? I mean, I don't really know what there is to expand on, to be honest. Like, I mean, the United States has been wanting to institute a regime change in Iran now for 50 years. Like, I mean, we are going to continue to pursue that until we either do it and succeed or do it and fail miserably. And even if we fail miserably, we'll just find covert ways of trying to do it. I mean, I think that like one of the wildest things about how we've decided to adjudicate our relationship with Israel is that we have chosen to stand 10 toes down while they exterminate little children. And we do this at the expense of our ability of our statesmen to actually then do all the things that we have needed them to do with us for 70 years now. Like the United States needs that country in order to execute all of its imperial desires in the Middle East and project power from there. And we have chosen to jeopardize this entire relationship for the like ravenous impulses of the Likud party, which is bananas because like, I mean, I think that there's something to be said that like there was no such thing as the political project of of an Israel without there being a subsequent genocide at some point, and I think that that's real. But man, oh man, for us to just squander it. I mean, not to say that I believe that this is a good relationship, mind you, because I don't. I think that the relationship that the United States has with that country is despicable and is, in fact, a great proof that we are the ultimate evil on the earth right now. But I think that from a great powers perspective, if I try to look at this as like a realist, like I mean, just what a fumble. What a fumble. We fumbled it in the worst way possible, like gaining literally almost nothing. We did not gain new influence in the region. We did not gain new access to resources in the region. We did not topple any of our enemies through backing this extermination specifically. I mean, this has literally been a catastrophe for the United States in every possible way from a geopolitical perspective. I mean, there's almost nothing that I could say that we got out of it other than making a few select companies rich, but we didn't need to back them doing this to make them rich. They were already getting the contracts to make them rich. You know, it's horrific, horrific, honestly. Um, Hart says thoughts on that weird hazing video. I mean, gay guys are gonna gay guy, and until they don't want a gay guy anymore, and then they just become DL. You know. Camel Toe Rodeo says, "Damn, nice, thanks." G says, "I'm so over this." Ted Cruz's Fupa says, "Fear of being a leftist should be the baseline, or you're not paying." Dude, I mean, yeah. Travi has cerebral palsy. Oh, well, I hope that. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you're Travi, then I hope that your life is good. Says, "Hi." Hi. I want to be Tracer says the Republican Party going out their way to be the most unlikable people in the world. I mean, second only to the fucking Democrats at this point, dog. Let me see here. Diamond says corn pop, corn pop. T says, "Where's your cigar?" My cigar? It's back here, actually. Hold on. I'll get it for you. Hold on. It's right here. Yes, to my Substack audience, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a big fiend for these little smoky stink logs, you know, and they are wonderful. Let me tell you. Actually, let me see here. You know, and I do it with my teeth at this point. Not for any brownie points, but like it's just it's fucking easier half the time. I just don't need to remember a cutter, you know? You know, it's like, oh, tobacco in your teeth never hurt anybody. We used to be a country, okay? Um, Let me see here. Ox says, "Love you, buddy." Love you too, buddy. Barbie says, "How did you come up with the real corn pop?" I came up with it because of one of the best stories ever told in American politics, where Joe Biden told this absolutely insane story where he claimed that while he was a lifeguard at a pool in Delaware, that um, there was a black man named Corn Pop who went by the nickname of Corn Pop. And per Joe Biden's own retelling the story, he says, "And Corn Pop was a bad boy. And he hung out, and he hung around with a bunch of. Oh no, he was a bad dude, and he hung around with a bunch of bad boys." That's what he said. And then he said that he told Corn Pop to stop diving off the diving board in the pool because he had pomade in his hair. And Corn Pop, being a man who respects himself and is not going to let a fucking white twink tell him not to dive in a pool, says, "Hey, fuck you, Joe Biden." And then Joe Biden kicks him out of the pool in the story. Mind you, by the way, Joe Biden is telling this story to a bunch of black children on the 2020 campaign trail. Okay, it's crazy. And then he says that Corn Pop like threatened him and threatened to beat his ass. And so Joe Biden says that his fellow lifeguards were like, you know, go to the rain barrel and get yourself out a link of a rusty what's the word? Chain link that was just sitting in the rain barrel and wrap it around your fingers. So that's what Joe Biden does. He says he goes out there to the parking lot where where Corn Pop and all his men are, who have fucking taken their own razor blades and scuffed them on the ground just to make them extra dull and stabby. And then he says that he went out there with this rusty chain link fence wrapped around his fingers and threatened Corn Pop. Corn Pop was so just, you know, aghast at this show of force that that was just like, all right, I'm cool with Joe Biden now. And the crazy, so I came up with this, Barbie, because I thought that story was hilarious for the longest time. And then it was confirmed in 2022 that that story was real. That a reporter went and found Corn Pop and confirmed that that whole thing was real. That all actually happened. Crazy. I came up with it, though, in 2021 because I was under the impression of that story is fake. Joe Biden is a liar. He has said many times that if he has to invent, he actually said this before J.D. Vance did. I don't know if you guys know this, but Joe Biden said on the record to Stephen Colbert that if he had to invent stories in order to get people to believe him, that that's what he would do. And I mean, he said that on the 2020 campaign trail. And so I was like, oh, clearly this is a completely fabricated story. But no, it wasn't. I came up with the name of the Real Cornpop because I thought that'd be funny. Because I hated Joe Biden, even though I had voted for him. And I was like, I'm the Real Cornpop because I thought Cornpop was fake. Turns out he's a real man, and I just never changed it. I never had an interest in changing it. LP77 says on Substack says, I wonder what Biden is up to. Bro, probably just drooling. I mean, let's be honest. What do you think Joe Biden's up to? Nobody's coming to nobody on fucking Capitol Hill right now is like, God, shut down funding for ICE. Oh my God, there's so many challenges. Who's going to help me with this? I know. Let me get that motherfucker who had a dog that bit 5 Secret Service members who just knows how to wear sunglasses and eat ice cream. Get me Joe. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying get me Joe. Okay, so he's probably just drooling. Camille says, hi, Corn Pop. Hi. Let's see here. Lupita Lamas Bruquita says, did you see the scientist that got shot in California desert? No, I didn't. That's crazy. What every aha says, who are your favorite Substacks? That's easy. Brian Merchant's Blood in the Machine. Love him to death. Please go subscribe to him if you have not. The Dre Dossier. Many of you know her on TikTok. She's incredible. I like Planting Trees by Rachel Cohen. I think she has a wonderful way of writing, and I think she's a very earnest person. I think it comes through in her writing. Matt Stoller's Big. It's like all focused on monopoly. I think not the game, but the phenomena, the economic phenomena of monopoly. It's really good. Who else do I like reading? I love reading Neural Foundry. Neural Foundry is a guy who writes a lot about the cybersecurity side and the hardware side of AI. I think he's really good. I love reading David Karpf. He's a kind of an AI skeptic. Ed Zitron. Obviously, Ed Zitron is one of my absolute all-timers. I love him to death. Ed Zitron was literally the guy that got me to become a little bit more of a skeptic about AI to the point where I now have my current position, which is that I think AI is good for lots of things on a research side. I think it's good for some things in terms of actually enhancing your ability to learn, but I think that most people use it terribly, and I think that the companies themselves have actually suggested a mode of usage that is overall destructive for most people. And as a result, the majority of the implementation of it has been awful. And I don't think that we are getting the benefits out of it that we otherwise could have as a society, because the government has completely abdicated its role in even suggesting it ought have a role in orienting the purpose of a technology. And I think the lack of consensus as well about why we even decided to pursue AI through this route, I think is a huge problem. And people like Ed Zitron certainly made that easier for me to articulate. That's actually a person I would love to have on Corncast one day, to be quite honest with you. Entmoot says, I hear you. I agree completely, but your uneven shave is distracting me. See, Substack. This is why you guys got to talk more, because you see what I'm dealing with over here. Let me see here. 4G says, do you think the U.S. can dismantle the IRGC? All the way? No, I don't believe so. I think the United States can decapitate it. I think, though, that remnants of it will kind of always remain. This is like the thing the United States just like refuses to learn, even though it knows this is true. Like, we know for a fact that every single time that we try to institute actual regime change in the United States, we are effectively, every time the United States tries to institute a regime change, we know that the problem is that it's like mushroom spores. Like, somewhere that you don't see, they have germinated. And you can't really solve for that unless you try to do what we did in Afghanistan, which is engage in multi-decade nation building. And we're not good at that, like, at all. Let me see. And not only we're not good at it, like, we just give up. I mean, one of the most radicalizing things, if you are still an institutionalist in the United States, if you really believe in the institution of the military, you should go read our last 2 quarterly assessments before we pulled out of Afghanistan in 2021, because it's prepared by a huge cadre of military generals and admirals who have to give a real assessment on what our progress was towards our goals in Afghanistan. And the last 2, I mean, are very heavy indictments. I mean, they effectively say that we have no idea what we're doing, that the NGOs that were in Afghanistan that were trying to help backstop the humanitarian work that we supposedly had enabled via our military occupation were completely falling flat. They had no sense of cultural competency at all, and that there was a huge problem with corruption in the Afghan government we had helped set up, that there was a huge problem with embezzlement of funds, and that the Taliban was just gaining ground culturally anyway. Through all of the work, through the billions of dollars that we had put into that country, we had no fucking sense of managing the outcomes at all from beginning to end. So I say no, like the United States should not attempt to engage in dismantling the IRGC in the way it's trying to, because I know what that is. That is code for nation building, because it's more money to contractors who go and build shit. It's more after we destroy it. It's awful. It's awful. Miss Green says, what are the chances Iran actually has the full files? Zero. I think absolutely zero. Jacob says, my bad. Samuel Sarton says, then we started hiring those soldiers to be those officers 2 years. I don't really know what you mean by this. Jinx says, Corncast? I've missed these. I've missed you too, Jinx. Jinx is one of my OGs. Jinx actually followed me over to YouTube when I was doing Corncast over there. Let me see here. Bad Team says, man, it's so interesting. I never thought about the U.S. needing Israel to be imperialist. Yeah, bro, we do. Let's see here. Alex says, please do all the things. Daily heart, comment, share out the live, and tap it up. Yeah, everybody tap the screen. I'm like Ashley Trevino. Tap, tap, tap. MT says, frat hazing videos turn into E-style humiliation rituals later in life. Yes, they do. I agree with that completely. There's definitely a pipeline between you are a frat boy and you're willing to what's the word? Efface yourself, right? Or deface yourself, I'm sorry. And then eventually you go to the point where you're willing to deface others just to save face with other people that you think have cultural capital for you. Kimmy Wynn, thank you for joining. Tom, Diego, thank you guys for joining as well. Schlippy, you as well. Wait, Schlippy says on Substack, TikTok has trained a bunch of readers, but not in the increasing the literacy rate way. That's exactly correct. A guy says, did you see the news about the election board in Georgia catching Elon Musk sending absentee ballots? Yes, I did. And that's like completely, it's a completely expected thing. 404 Tattoo says, cigars are a nice look on you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Crystal Muff says, why do the politicians help him ruin and become billionaires? They aren't getting that much for it. Why do politicians help these people become billionaires? Because they know that they only need to have a couple of handlers to make the rest of their life super easy, and so they choose their handlers. That's what I think it is. I mean, it's like the same thing where billionaires choose to do things like buy Supreme Court justices because it's way easier to control 6 or 5 people than it is to try and control every congressperson. Like at a certain point, like you got to go to the sources of legitimacy that are the most bang for your buck, and like Supreme Court members, presidents, like cabinet members. Like it's way easier to control a little bit of a little circle of people than to control hundreds of people. Let me see here. Zane says Cubano guards. No Cubano. I don't smoke Cubanos. Let me see here. Two Lost Souls Custom says, how do we find a leader for the movement? I don't think that we need a leader. I don't really believe in that, to be honest. I think that what we need lots of little leaders in every single state. Delphina says, hi, Chief. Hi. Crystal Muff says, I would have never guessed that's where it came from. Yeah. Princess, I remember Cornpop. I remember you too. You're saying that you remember Cornpop the story. Yeah. I want to be Tracer says, don't forget the leg hairs. God, don't forget the leg hairs. Oh my God. If you guys don't know, there's a whole point in that story where Joe Biden is really over here being like, yeah, like kids love to just like slick my golden leg hairs down. I think he's effectively being like, yeah, like these black kids, they love to touch white people hair. It's really disgusting. It's really weird. Tom says on Substack says, is Dan Osborne the way forward? He definitely can be. I mean, like, I think that more people like Dan Osborne is the way forward. Yes. I think that people who are willing to say Democrats are bought and paid for, Republicans want to exterminate everybody who's not them, independents that actually stand for economic populism. Yeah, I think that's definitely the way forward. And I definitely believe that where Howard Dean of all people really had the party on the right track was on the 50-state strategy. And I 100% believe, Tom, that if we had, as a Democratic coalition, if they had pursued a route through the flyover states and middle America and the South, and not focus so much on trying to entrench their wins in suburban Philadelphia, like Chuck Schumer says, I don't think we would be here. I just don't. I mean, need I remind all of you, it is well known that Hillary Clinton did not even go to Wisconsin one time during the 2016 campaign. Democrats were so arrogant in their belief that Republicans had nothing to offer people. And unfortunately, Republicans didn't have anything to offer those people that was material. It was all culture war bullshit. But Democrats had no words even to offer those people. They didn't even have their time to offer them. So yes, Tom, to your question here on Substack about Dan Osborne in the Senate race, yeah, I 100% believe that people like him are the way forward. Jack on Substack says, do you think that there needs to be more cohesion between left-wing parties internationally, like Sinn Féin in Ireland or the Green Party in the UK? To a degree, I mean, like at least insofar as it enables a more coherent politic of what the global north should do with its relationships with the global south and like what remediation looks like from here on out, especially in relation to how it is that our policies in the north have made climate change all but guaranteed. Yes. In terms of their own domestic politics, I mean, I think there's things to learn certainly from each other. I mean, global capital is global capital, but it does operate in different places in different ways. Let me see here. Jay says, "Oh my god, hi from West Virginia. Hello from Washington D.C." Mario for Adori for Congress says, "Heart, heart." Um, LM says, "Oh my god, LOL. How the fuck did I miss that?" Toast and Joey says, "You might as well not even use the mic if it's going to sound like that." Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. Here, let me know if that's better. I'm so sorry. Also, I'm 78 messages behind on my TikTok. So I might have to skip some of you. I'm so sorry. Um, Let me see here. You know what? I'm gonna have to. I'm so sorry, guys. August says, cigar and punditry, you are rapidly approaching your Rush Limbaugh arc. Fuck, dude, I hope. Oh my god. Um, Jay says, I was hoping that was a Godfather blunt, bro. Hell yeah. Emily says, stand up and jump up and down. Thought that was a Slim Jim. Bro, no, dude, this is a thick Jim. All right. Dr. Danimal says, pipeline for everything. That's so true. Because I says, love your takes, brother. Thank you for your voice and your time. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate you. Let me see here. LM says, were you a history major? No, I just like to read a lot. I want to be Tracer says, I feel like there are better countries now than ISR to get a step into the Middle East. I mean, yeah, but old habits die hard. You know how it is. Jacob says, hello from Ohio. Hello. Casey Hall says, how do you feel about Jon Stewart running for president? I don't think we should have celebrity presidents. I think that's a bad idea. I don't even care if he has good ideas. There's got to be more fucking ideas than just in Jon Stewart's head. I'm sorry. JFG says, I can't deal with the way you act. It's literally so obviously put on. Yeah, if you think it's put on, then how about I put my dick on your face? Nick Graffon says, will this tariff decision take him out at the legs a bit since he uses it for leverage so often? Yes. Yes, I do. Ryden Fulf says, what do you think about the North Carolina 4 congressional Democratic primary? I think that Nita Alam is like a fucking I think Nita Alam's a fucking awesome candidate. That's what I think. And actually, I invited Nita Alam to come and do an interview with me for my Substack, and she ignored me. So very, very unfortunate. Matt says the number one car is a Ford F-150. We need a Ford F-150 candidate. Hell yeah, we do, brother. Yeah, we do. Actually, guys, I think that, and listen, I'm gonna sound a little bit not woke. Okay, cover your ears, liberals. All right, but listen. I saw a TikTok the other day that actually really, really got me. And it was a guy who was laying tile. Okay, he's a blue collar worker. Hold on, I'm gonna take a sip of water. There's this guy who's laying tile and blue collar worker, and he says, he's playing some music. He's playing some rock song as the video audio, and the text on screen says, how do I tell people that my political views are these? It's fuck ICE forever. I'm pro 2A. I want people to be able to afford a house. It's no billionaires forever. I don't want my kids to take what is it? HRT. And also I like saying the word pussy and then the R word and the F word. How do I explain that those are my political views? And I sent that to a lot of people actually. And I was like, I think that liberals and leftists at large are very uncomfortable with the fact that like that is the median young voter. It really is. Like, yeah, there's chuds who stump for billionaires, obviously. Yeah, there's definitely right wingers who are earnest, right? Who actually knowingly voted for the political project of white nationalism in America. Absolutely there are. And to suggest otherwise would be to just run cover for white people when we certainly don't need any more than we already have for 500 years. But the reality is, though, is that the majority of voters, I think, in America, I'll say the majority of white young male voters, like below the age of 40, I actually think are way more communicable with that guy than most of what the Democratic Party is selling them. And excuse me, the facts are are that I think that people like Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris turn these men off immediately because they're like, Gavin Newsom is a vampire. Like, I don't believe that guy has warm blood. Pete Buttigieg, dork. Big dork. I'm sorry. Like, listen, Pete Buttigieg seems like a nice guy. I would love to have, like, you know, an espresso martini with him or something, but like, I don't want him to be my president, right? And I'm sorry, but like, Kamala Harris, for some of these men, and you know, it would be dumb of me not to acknowledge that for some of these men who think like that young man who I just invoked, yeah, it's the fact she's a woman, and yeah, it's the fact that she's black. Of course it is. You know, that would be stupid for me not to say. I also think that for a lot of them, it's way less permeable and way less top of mind for them, and they just like think that she's dumb and think that she's not like vision forward, and that whatever her vision is, they can't tell you what it is. Whereas for Trump, you know, it's like again that quote that he kept bringing up, like, I love the poorly educated. It's like, I don't want to call these men poorly educated, but it's like, you know, he says shit that's easy. Somebody asked me today, I was at a party before this, and they were like, "What do you think that Kamala Harris's legacy is?" And I was like, and I didn't miss a beat, and I said, "Real life Selena Myers from Veep." And like, honestly, the parallels are too striking not to invoke. And I literally think that that's just it. Is like, you know, she didn't have enough of a presence that like actually meant something where you could absolutely say she is for she wants for me the things I want for me and says it the way that I say it. You know, I like to tell people all the time, politics is advertising. If you don't believe that, you shouldn't run, right? And good ads are they're things you feel. Right. There's a mystique to them. Right. And more importantly than anything, good ads talk the way you talk. If it sounds like a marketer, you don't buy it. Everyone hates being sold to, but actually people love being sold to. What they like is they like the idea that I came up with the idea of buying something. Right. They don't like the idea that you sell something to me. So the problem is politicians try and approach it from a salesperson's perspective instead of from a buyer's perspective. Trump, for all of his fucking bullshit, okay, the one thing that he was kind of a genius at, and I think he just stumbled his way into it. I don't think he has a messaging matrix anywhere. I think he just talks a certain way, and it sounds the way that anybody else talks. So it's easy to be like, he's a buyer. He's helping me buy the thing I want to buy. Whereas every single Democratic politician right now who's trying to stump for 2028, they're all sellers. And it's so obvious that they're all sellers. They're trying to sell you on this idea of something. Whereas it's like, you know, it's just not for them, right? And so when I see TikToks like that guy who says it's no billionaires, it's fuck ICE forever, you know, I just don't want my kids to take HRT, and also I just like saying these words that are offensive. It's like, yeah, like we got to start there. I'm sorry, like you can't win if you believe in electoralism. You literally cannot win without these guys. Sorry. Like it's very obvious you can't. So like, what's the answer for them, right? And I'm not saying that you have to eschew all of your stances of decency, but it's like, if you're not going to address the parts of their politic that are indecent, then the rest of what you say better be really fucking convincing. And it's just not, right? So sorry, Matt. I mean, you said F-150, and I went off on an absolute tangent there. I'm so sorry. Annie says, "Hi, how do I continue voting when I don't trust anyone?" Voting is a tool in your tool belt. Do it. Scary Poppin says, "We need real policy." Hell yeah. Nick Griffon says, "Will this tariff decision take him out?" Oh, I already answered this one. Let me see here. The Cyber Ghost says, "Donald Trump's name is in it." Oh yeah. Johnny Wiz says, "Dad!" Corn Papa loves you, Johnny Wiz. Shill's Tactic TV says, "It's Tinny." Let me see here. Jack says, "That's the base position now. There's just a 40-year group at the top of the age ladder." Yeah. Ain't that the fucking truth? Oh my gosh. God, you know what? Honestly, I can't believe I didn't start streaming here on TikTok and on Substack at the same time, because my clips on Substack are going to go crazy now because I have this whole chat to respond to. Toast and Jelly says, "Sounds good now, in my opinion, like an old radio show." Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you guys for telling me that my mic was all fucked. Let's see here. James Miller says, "You're great at what you do." Oh, thank you, man. Eat Like an Arab says, "Is your Substack the same username?" Yes, it is. Yossi says, "Does everyone deserve happiness?" Deserve? Everyone deserves the chance at making their own happiness. Yeah, I think that's true. Nick Griffon says, "Do you have any takes on Nancy Guthrie? Feels off. Mainstream media gobbling up." You know, I'm going to be honest, guys. I actually have not been following it that much. I mean, I know that that's like probably kind of sacrosanct for me to admit, but I mean, I haven't really been following it. I don't really know that much about it. I'm sorry. Rosalie says, "What's HRT? Hormone replacement therapy." Plaza Capricorn says, or Capcom says, "You are gorgeous." Oh, thank you. Crow says, "You belong in Virginia." What? It's odd. I want to be Tracer says, "Libertarian to socialist pipeline." Yeah, dude, it's real. Manny DePoppy says, "Not a single hog in sight." Oh my god. Listen, if I get to the point where I have like maybe 1,000 paid subs on Substack, maybe then, guys, I don't know. I mean, like I've teased you guys with my corn hog for so long with my corn cob. I'm gonna have to find a way to do it tastefully. I don't know. Um, Luna Ciega says, "So Andrew Schultz is the median voter." No, Andrew Schultz is a smart man who chose to align himself with fascists, and then the moment he got called out for it, was a little bitch about the whole thing. The median voter has more conviction than that, and actually believes the things they say, and has way less money. That's why if I ever see Andrew Schultz in person, I would slap him. Um, LM says, "That's a big demo, like it or hate it." Yeah, dude, it is. Sorry. Jeremy says, "You should talk about the fact that the tariff fallout was the plan all along." Yeah, I mean, certainly. There's certainly a pump and dump scheme to it for sure. Heather Hiker says, "I love Pete, like Pete Buttigieg. He's such a cutie." I mean, he's fine. Um, Yossi says, "I agree with everything you said." Oh, well, thank you, man. Luna Sega says, "I can't believe that the Democrats had 10 years to counter MAGA, and the best they can do is Newsom." I know. It's like unbelievably fucking embarrassing. Crow says, "What's your vision?" Okay, what's my vision? If I had a vision to articulate to all of you for what I think America should do with the next, like, I don't know, 14 years between now and 2040, it's very simple. We should jail every single person who helped enable the fascist project that is MAGA at the congressional and executive level, right? So if you're a MAGA congressperson, I think immediately you should be investigated by the federal government. I think that means the IRS should investigate you at the very least and look into your financial ties to see whether or not you personally had something to gain financially for your political views. I also think if you're an executive who did something like Stephen Miller or Kirsty Noem, criminal investigations at the DOJ level, absolutely. Like, it's very obviously these people are grifting on top of the American people, and they are imprisoning and killing innocent people. That is criminal behavior. They should be put on trial for betraying the United States. As for and then this of course goes for Trump and JD Vance as well. Um, as for non-retributive actions to government officials, I think that like industries that chose willingly to collaborate in the jailing, the extrajudicial jailing of Americans, that includes executives at AWS, that includes executives at fucking Broadcom, that includes executives at the Geo Group, the private prison group. All of them should immediately have criminal investigations launched into them for choosing to engage in illegal actions that helped actually violate the law in the United States. And I think that as a result of that, these companies should be broken up. I think that what we should really hope to see is a sort of a what's the word, a reclamation of the antitrust, anti-monopoly energy that really dominated the original Progressive Party in the 1900s. And I would like to see, as this is something I said actually before the election of 2024, I would like to see the creation of something akin to a civilian climate corps in the same depth and breadth as we had in the Tennessee Valley Authority, but imagine everywhere. And I would like this to be our first pass at a guaranteed jobs program with guaranteed income. Um, I think my thing with UBI in particular is that I think that UBI is an interesting idea, but I think that when you talk to enough people, you realize a lot of people do actually want to work, but they just want to work with dignity. They want to be able to feel like that they can provide for themselves and provide for their families and build towards something. And a lot of people actually don't want to just sit around, and they don't want to just like play video games and play music, right? They actually think that's like really lame. And so what they want is they want something to do with dignity. And I think that repairing the ecology of this entire nation and having a hand in literally creating the future for your children, right? That's how you would sell it. Is you would say, listen, you want to work with dignity, you want good wages. We can index your wages to, the cost of living in your area. You'll always be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment in your area, and it'll be a number of things. You'll be building out broadband access. You'll be building the houses you'll live in, right? And things like this. You'll be helping make parks. You'll be helping make national parks. All these things, right? We're going to basically engage in this grand fixing of all the things that we have left and deferred in exchange for what we got, which was making a few select people rich. I mean, like this is just a smattering of my vision. This is all off the dome. I mean, if I had to type it up, I'm sure I would put it a lot better, than I did just now. Thomas Hart says, "I'm running as a progressive, independent, economic populist in deep red Utah. Vote Love Hart." Thomas Hart, you should DM me so we can get you interviewed on my Substack. That's what we should do. I'm sure that people would love to hear about your vision in Utah. August says Trump has no actual plan. Of course he has no actual plan. What fucking plan would he even have? I mean, he does have a plan though. I mean, Trump's actual plan is that he wants to make everybody rich, make all of his friends rich. I'm sorry. Um, Toast Post says, "When will you be running?" I mean, who knows, honestly, at this point. Uh, Yossi says, "Corn Pop for Prez." Thank you, guys. That's always sweet of you. Thomas Hart says, "Can AOC win or is she too polarizing?" She absolutely can win. AOC can absolutely win. Anybody who tries to tell you that AOC cannot win is living in the shadow of Kamala Harris's failure and refusing to recognize that Kamala Harris like actually just ran a bad campaign. Like that's really all it is. And people who are like, "Oh, it's good. AOC's a, she's a Latina. She's a woman." It's like, shut the fuck up, you fucking idiot. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. Like, if Kamala Harris had come out and said plainly, "I am going to make it illegal for institutions to buy single family homes. I am going to force the sale of 20% of Blackstone's portfolio back onto the market." Guarantee you that woman could have won. Like, she had no stones to piss off her old boss, which doesn't even make sense, mind you, because Joe Biden is a cadaver. She absolutely should have just eschewed him immediately and been like, "Fuck that guy. I hate Joe Biden. He tried to fuck me over. He tried to fuck all of you over." If she had done that, yeah, absolutely. Would she be a pariah? For sure. But you know what else? She'd be president. And there's a hell of a lot you can do once you're in the chair. Let me see here. Tumblestone says, "I just got out of jail yesterday and I have so much catching up to do." Jeez, dude, we're glad you're here, man. I'm glad you got out. Hardy Har Har says, "Do you believe the leftists claim that both parties are the same and that liberals are right wing?" I don't believe the claim that they are the same people with the exact same wants and desires. I think that they operate I think that currently they are operating in a way that creates the same outcome. That's what I think. Jolly Fellow says, "Fan of your work. Never caught your live before. Thanks for doing what you do." Thank you for being here, man. Soze says, "Do you feel like your content is more suppressed lately?" No, I don't. Thomas Hart says, "I was banned from Our Libertarian for calling myself a libertarian market socialist." Oh, that's too bad. Nick Griffon says, "Hog check." Who said that? Let's see here. Metaphor Myko says, "What about Private Hog?" Listen, guys, for all the okay, Tom, Kimmy, Vales, Jack, all of you in my Substack chat. If you don't know, there's something of a joke in my TikTok about me showing my hog, my wiener, okay? And my TikTok audience loves to remind me of it. And listen, guys, like I said, maybe if I get to like 500 paid subs or 1,000 paid subs, okay, maybe then I'll find a way to tastefully show my hog or give you an idea of it or something like that on my private Substack chat with all of my paid subs, okay? But I'm not showing it on here on the open airwaves like this, okay? No way. Let me see here. Jizz says, "Why," or G, I said Jizz. GZY says, "Why do you get shit on by other leftists?" I don't really think I do, to be honest. I mean, I think that there are other leftists who take issue with the ways I say things, but I don't really think that people take issues with my ideas all that often. And if they do, I mean, that's fair. I mean, like, I'm not right all the time. Um, Let me see here. Uh, Kimmy Wynn on Substack says, "It is not necessary to show your corn hog, but thanks." Thank you, Kimmy. I appreciate it. Thank you for liking me for me. Okay, not just for my hog. Party says, how do we approach people who love the extremes? Many people went from Bernie to Trump within 2 years. I mean, acknowledge that they went to the extremes. Don't try to talk them off of it. They think that's the only way for their life to get better. Just fucking acknowledge it. Let me see here. Sheepy Girl says, "Once the Dems get in, Garland is going to prosecute Mr. Trump." Get out of here, Kamala Harris. Go to bed. Millennial Meemaw says, "And those companies' profits should go to American people. I'm not totally dissolved. Completely agree." Let's see here. Chris Dorner fan page. Oh my God. Says, "I got my hog out. Hogs out for corn pop." Yossi says, "We want a meaningful life." Hey, nice. And I agree with you, Yossi. Natalie says, "Hey, I haven't ever seen you live." Well, now you have. JV says, "Exactly. Labubu coded legend." Exactly. The Life of a Kitty says, "Are you single?" No. Nick says that all conspiracy theory is real. Natalie says, "People don't hate the government, they hate the system." I agree. The Life of a Kitty says, "Did you miss a spot shaving?" Yes, I did. Made HCI says, "What's your favorite planet in the solar system?" Venus. Yossi says, "Such a cutie, like OMG." Let's see here. Okay. Ligerwood says, "You rock," by the way. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay. Uh, Art Guima says, "3 times Trump voter here. I would vote for Democrats, honestly, if they were reasonable on immigration, please." I mean, yeah. Let me see here. Bog says, "Who's the NBA GOAT now?" The NBA GOAT? Oh man. Well, the NBA GOAT is well, now that it's not, I mean, it's not Lakud James, I'll tell you that. And it's not Michael Jordan. It's not Michael Jordan. And dude, I'm not gonna lie, it might be Nikola Jokic. Like it very well might be. Let me see here. Chelsea says, dude, my dad's uncle was for Bernie and then went full Trump. Yeah, dude. I mean, absolutely. Astra says MLB agent was raging about you again. He was? Oh my God. Wait, Tom says, what's your beef with Joshua Kusnik? Dude, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know why I don't really know why he would be raging about me. He tried to make nice with me over some DMs, and I didn't really pay him much attention because I was like, well, you already called me a fucking idiot and you already made a bunch of videos being really mean about me. So I'm not really going to be that interested in talking with you. I'll let you keep watching my videos, but I'm not going to pretend like you're cool. But I don't know. Like that's unfortunate. Tom says it's Kobe, right? I don't think it's Kobe. I don't think it's Kobe. I don't think Kobe's the GOAT. Jack says, going to be Wemby in a decade. Can we just postpone the combo? I actually do agree with that. I think that Wembanyama is like actually legitimately stupid broken. As he's like a 2K character turned up to fucking 10 on like half his stats. It's wild. Let me see here. Millennial Mima says, I'm also just fine without the hog. Deepest thanks. Oh, thank you. Astra says he just doesn't like you. I mean, yeah, I think that's true. Meta for my co says, are you a fan of Meshtastic? Yeah, dude, hell yeah. No. Absolutely, I am. I think that like mesh tech is going to become so much more of a part of our lives in the next few years, especially as people become like more and more like terrified, honestly, of just always being listened to by companies that have algorithmic access to you, where they can listen to your conversations, look at your messages, and then immediately like divert what you're going to see next on your social media feeds to what's the word? To like influence how you interpreted that conversation. Like, oh my God, no. It's going to be insane. And I think that people are going to be like, all right, if I want to communicate, I'm going to have to do it off the apps that also have any like tie in to social media like that. Let me see here. Thomas Hart says, people just want the change candidate. Obama, Trump, and Bernie harness the same energy. And that's exactly why people went for Mamdani, too. I mean, the fact that Democrats love to pretend like they don't know that lesson, I mean, it's just like even more of the reason to not listen to people like Ken Martin and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, you know, because like they want you to believe that the only thing that you can do is to vote for them. I mean, like people like Ken Martin piss me off so badly because he's literally the meme of just went to the centrist rally. It was so inspiring. Hundreds of people holding hands and chanting in unison, better things are not possible. Better things are not possible. I mean, it literally is that meme, dude. It sucks. Kimmy Wynn on Substack says, isn't Jasmine Crockett great? I think she's great for some people. She's not great in my opinion. I think that she's more interested in being a meme, honestly, than she is in being a good representative of what all of Texas wants. Tom says, Kusnik blocked me when I said I was a fan of yours. That's a shame, dude. I don't know what his problem is, honestly. I got into his comments one time, Tom, and I did respond to him where I was like, hey man, keep my name out of your fucking mouth. Don't talk about me like that. And then I made a couple of videos later where I would just like had different takes about things. Like that was it. And then he was like, oh, actually, I was maybe too harsh on you. Isn't that so silly? You know, one of the things that Kimmy Wynn says, who is Musix? Oh, like who is Kusnik? Tom, you can explain that, man. I mean, go ahead and do that. Jack says, what politicians are you backing this year? A ton of them. Oh my God. I'm backing Kat Abou-Ghazaleh in her primary in Chicago. I'm backing Randy Villegas in his primary in California's 11th. I'm backing Mai Vang in California's, I think it's 7th. I'm backing Francesca Hong in her run for governor in Wisconsin. She's awesome. Backing Oliver Larkin, his race down in, I think it's Florida's 23rd, is in South Florida. Backing Nita Alam in North Carolina's 4th district. She's great progressive. Who else am I backing? Saikat Chakrabarty, the first guy who actually gave me an interview. He's incredible. I'm backing Graham Plattner as well. I think that he's a very interesting guy. I'm really interested to see what he's able to do with his political capital. I'm backing James Tellerico. I'm going to be honest with all of you. In Texas, I think James Tellerico is has a unique political acuity in how he's able to wield his religiosity in a way that I don't think turns off people who otherwise really roll their eyes at anybody who's openly religious, and really does galvanize people who lead with their who leads with their faith. I'm backing Rio Phillips in West Virginia. Tom on Substack later said the guy from West Virginia. Yeah, I'm backing Rio Phillips in West Virginia, 100%. That guy's fucking awesome. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, the thing is, like, this is the first year where I think that there will be something akin to like a teal wave instead of a blue wave. And a teal wave, in my opinion, would be like where progressives specifically get elected, who are like, I am here, like I'm gonna caucus with Democrats, but like if Democrats start fucking with me, like I will find a way to stick it to them. I'm backing Abdul El Sayed in Michigan as well. He's running for Senate. He's a fantastic candidate. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's just so many. Let me see here. Natalie says, "Are you concerned by how much people are speculating on the Epstein files? It seems to have gotten out of hand." Yes, I'm very concerned by that, especially knowing that there's only like 3% of them that have even been released. I am extremely concerned that people are like spinning themselves into conspiratorial tizzies to the level where when more information does get leaked, because that's what it'll have to be now. It'll have to be leaks. The Justice Department clearly has learned their lesson. They're not going to fucking like release more of them. It's very obvious. And when that happens, I worry that as more information comes out, and then people's initial conceptions of what's inside those papers changes because of new information, or rather, as new information comes out that should change people's conception of what's in those papers, they won't change because they've already bought a narrative of exactly what happened, even when that's like literally impossible. The only thing we know for sure is that Trump engaged in the systematic abuse of children and partook in the selling of children for the purposes of them being abused. That is the only thing for sure we know that came out of those files, and that Prince Andrew did the same. Puff says, "Love Cat. Been watching her videos this afternoon." Yeah, dude, she's a very very savvy politician. Camel Toe Rodeo says, "What do you think of Talrico?" Oh, I just said so. T says, "What presidents, dead or alive, do you think did the job well?" I think Lincoln did the job well. He kept the union together. I think that oh my God, who is it? Why can I not fucking remember his name? Oh, Roosevelt did the job well. Both Roosevelts did the job incredibly well. I think that with the chips that he was handed, I think that Carter did the job kind of okay. I think Nixon was a way better president than people want to give him credit for, to be honest. I think that I think the thing about Nixon, of course, is that Nixon was just a fucking raging anti-Semite and racist and homophobe, and he hated poor people. And so, like, of course, anything that you can say that he did well was always has to be caveated by the fact that like he wanted so many people to die, and also he like continued to exterminate people in South Asia. But I mean, in terms of like certain things, I have to give him credit. Like, I mean, he was an environmental president, so I guess there's that. Trying to think, man. I mean, like, the thing is, the 1800s are a terrible time for America because our conscience is just stained because we refuse to actually like take to account what real justice looks like, for all the people that we enslaved, and we chose instead to enable the rise of the Ku Klux Klan, and that sucks. I mean, so it's like basically every president from Lincoln until Roosevelt. I mean, it's just like stained by that forever. Rightfully so at that, and every president before Lincoln, I mean, basically just like did this all the way to the Civil War. So I don't really want to say any of them. And then every president from George Washington until the end of the 1700s just was continuing to build a society where the moneyed interests of Europe still controlled everything we did here, like even at the expense of all the working people who make the country worth anything. So it's like, I mean, genuinely, I like until we get to Roosevelt, I look at it and I'm like, I don't really like any of them. So that's my answer. Sick 2020 says, "What are you? Who are you backing for California governor?" I'm backing. Oh man, why can I not remember his fucking name? Is it Ramsey? Is it Ramsey for governor? The socialist who's running. I'm backing him. Let me see here. Oh yeah, also Charles Booker, the socialist in Kentucky. Absolutely. Let me see here. Sorry guys. Ghost says, "Oh hey, this is where the party's at." Hell yeah, brother. And Yossi says, brown-eyed Cypriot girl says, "Can't be environmental and drop a shit ton of bombs." I mean, fair. And also says, FDR. Yes, he's one of the Roosevelts I meant. Let me see here. Ramsey Robinson. Yeah. And then a guy says, "Do you know about any good people in Georgia?" Yeah. Ruel Roman. Rua Roman's a fantastic candidate in Georgia. If you don't know about Rua Roman, you should go look her up, man. She's incredible. I mean, she's an absolute fucking powerhouse in terms of her ability, I think, to articulate a genuinely hopeful vision based on mutual respect and decency for Georgians. And let me see here. I want to catch up on my Substack chat. Tom says, do you think that Vivek Ramaswamy will win in Ohio? No, I don't at all. SB says, he introduced me to the word grundle at least. Yeah. Tom says Truman desegregated the military, and the fair deal was an incredible proposal. That is true. That is true. Truman, unfortunately, also just kind of got like steamrolled by the military industrial complex and got really, really steamrolled by capital interests in the wake of World War II. So much so that even though he tried to veto the Taft-Hartley Act, like he still didn't really use the bully pulpit that he did have available to him in order to make sure that we didn't just totally like kneecap labor forever. And that sucks because the Taft-Hartley Act still is the thing that like holds U.S. labor down more than anything. Guys, we are now down into the last minute of this live. I only wanted to be on for an hour with all of you. And as always, oh wait, actually, hold on. SB says on my Substack, what do you think are the top few interviews you've done that you'd recommend the most? Oh, that's really easy. The top, if I had to give a top three, actually, the top three to me are my interview with Maurice Mitchell, who is the national director of the Working Families Party. I just did that interview. I thought that was an incredible conversation. I think Maurice Mitchell is legitimately building a juggernaut that Democrats are just completely unprepared for. And then also, my interview with Kat Abu-Ghazali, I think was really good. I felt so impressed by her by the end of it. And also my interview with Mai Vang, Mai Vang in California. I thought that she was an incredibly like, really, how do I put this? I thought that she had such a good grasp on why things need to change and the pace they need to change. I thought that she had great energy. I was inspired by her. I would watch those ones for sure. I'd watch those ones for sure. And the Isaiah Neverez says it's Maurice Mitchell, and then it's Kat Abu-Ghazali. If you look up Kat ABU on Google, the Isaiah Neverez, you can find her, and then Maivang, Maivang. Yes, those are my top ones, and all of them, but Maurice Mitchell is available publicly on my Substack right now. But guys, we are now in the last minute for real of my live here on TikTok and also on Substack. And as always, I ask you that if you enjoyed this, please give me a rating of 1 out of 10 corn cobs. Please use the corn emoji. And if it's anything less than a 7, you let me know why. Yeah, give me any feedback you want to. It's always fun to get on here on TikTok. This is probably some of the most fun I've had on Substack Live as well. To my TikTok audience especially, thank you guys for keeping the chat so lively, giving me so much to respond to. Layla on Substack says, show hog. I fucking cannot, I cannot believe this. Yeah, HOG. All right, well, that sucks. Wow, really, really can't believe this. SB on Substack says, corn out of 10 for no hog. Okay, well, thanks guys, appreciate it. But yes, to everybody here on TikTok, please drop me your corn ratings out of 10. Let me know if you enjoyed this live. That way I can just make it better for everybody. Somebody says Morb says 1,000 cobs. Ethan says 10. Layla says pig hog. And then Japan Droid says 10 corn cobs. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Irish Clover says hello, dude. Millennial Meemaw says Mrs. Hog is lucky. Jesus God. Brown-eyed Cypriot girl gal says 10. Mersadi says, I think that's a fish. What the fuck is that? Oh no, it's a kissy face. And then LNECS says 10. Lots of corn cobs. Asicus Clapicus says, I hear if you say my name 3 times in a row, it will happen. Everybody say Asicus Clapicus 3 times in a row, please. Everybody, I love you all so much. Corn Papa enjoys all of you so much. Please join me again next Saturday. Maybe the same time, maybe a little later. I'll let you guys know on TikTok and also my Substack when I'll be going live. And remember, if you want the chance to join me live on camera or camera off or mics on and talk to me one-on-one, the best way you're going to be able to do that is to become a subscriber to Pop Off in the Pocket. That is my Substack, and become a supporter. It is $5 a month forever. Inflation be damned. And I go live for 30 minutes before I talk to all of you. I go live for 30 minutes with my paid subs on there. as a little private chat so we can all talk together as a group. And then I invite guests up to talk with me directly on mic, and you guys can get whatever information you want out of me there. But it's the entry fee is a $5 a month, and I really hope you'll consider it because I post all of my analysis on there, and also you'll get my access to my backlog of all of my written pieces that are older than 1 month. So I hope to see you there. But thank you guys so much for making this so fun. It's really, really fantastic.